Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Friday night wealth creation course. I want to welcome you here. My name is Jerry. I'm the owner and founder of a company called Wealth Dynamics. And every week we do this course. We do this course on finances, on economics, on how to win with money. Now, I want to just get a couple of things organized here on Facebook. If you guys are joining us on Facebook, awesome. Make sure you share this. If you're on Instagram, good to see you guys again. If you're on Zoom, awesome to see everybody. Again, we're going to be talking about finances tonight. We do this every week. And my topic tonight is a little bit different. Last week, we talked about how to become an accredited investor, which means building a $1 million net worth. Very big topic, right? Very big topic. Big in the sense that it's a big deal when someone gets there, and big in a sense that there's a lot that it takes to get to that point, right? There's a lot of steps we follow. There's a lot of different systems we follow. Okay. So when we talk about that level of financial achievement, I want to talk tonight about behavior. Okay. Because behavior is something that happens at the very, very beginning. It happens all the way throughout, and it also happens at that level, right? So I'm an accredited investor now, meaning I have $1 million net worth or higher. And I have the same behaviors that I have to do in order to win with money that I needed to do way back when I first got started. Okay, so it doesn't change. And so what I want to go over tonight is what those behaviors are and how we can master them, because it really is a make or break point, right? So it's something where if we get these, we understand them, we apply them, we're consistent with them, then wealth is a possibility. Solvency is a possibility. Financial freedom is a possibility. But if we don't do these things, and I'm going to simplify them down to 3 or 4 things, if we don't do them, then none of this is possible. It doesn't matter how many cool tactics and techniques and tricks and hacks that I show you guys from the financial industry. It cannot overcome bad behavior. Okay. So a little bit about me, and I want to start this out on this note so you guys can have a idea of where I'm coming from with my background. So I am 28 years old. I own a company called Wealth Dynamics. We help thousands of clients across the country with their finances. And so I've been able to build a net worth over $1 million, become financially solvent at an early age in life, and have a lot of cool financial achievements that I've been able to master and do in my life that I now teach my clients and I help other people do as well. Now, before I ever got involved with finances, I was a bodybuilder. Okay, I was a competitive bodybuilder. I did competitions. So I would lift weights. I would do all the posing. I would, diet for 12 weeks. I would get ripped. I would get down to 4 or 5% body fat. And I'm going to share with you guys tonight, like a couple of parallels that I have, because back in that time in my life, I was a bodybuilder and I was a personal trainer, right? And as a bodybuilder and as a personal trainer, there were parallels that I saw with finances that made me get involved in this industry. Okay, I saw a lot of the same problems that I was helping people with as a bodybuilder, that I was helping people with as a personal trainer. I saw a lot of the same types of problems occurring in people's lives financially. And that's where I saw the similarity. And I was like, okay, I can definitely help. Okay, I can definitely help with this. So the first thing that I want to go through is, as we're going through this, couple of things I talk about every week. So first thing is, if there's anything that I say tonight, and it shouldn't be too complex tonight. This should be a very simple course. But if there is anything that I say tonight that doesn't make sense, that seems complicated, that seems complex, I want you to let me know, because finances come down to the ability to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and look up words. If I can add, subtract, multiply, divide, look up words, I can do anything with finances. There's no limit, right? There's no secrets. It's just those 4 or 5 things. Now, the math part of things is easy. Most of us understand addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And so when we see that with finances, that's the easy part. The difficult part is the vocabulary, right? We hear these words, we don't understand what they mean with finances, and then they go over our heads, and then we feel stupid, and then we get discouraged, and then we say, this financial stuff is just not my thing. I'm not cut out for it. I need the help of a professional, when really the only thing that's happening is vocabulary is being used that we don't know, right? So if that occurs tonight, number one, don't feel dumb. Okay, if I use complicated words, that's my fault. So I want you to let me know, hey, I didn't understand this. What does that mean? Right? Second thing is, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. We'll answer questions at the very end. So if you're on Zoom, we'll answer them live. If you're on Facebook, we'll answer them. If you're on Instagram, answer them. Third thing is, obviously, we say this every week, but be appropriate, be respectful. In life, there are consumers and there are producers. Consumers add value and they actually give more than they take. Producers add value and give more than they take. Consumers take more than they give, if they give anything. Consumers are the type of people that are negative in the comments. They troll. They're inappropriate. They're distracting. If that's you, this is not your feed. Go do something different, because this is for producers. So if you're on here and you're a consumer and you're a negative person, you're not going to be financially successful in the first place. So this is not the feed for you. There's no point in being negative and distracting everyone else. So that is what I have for you guys tonight. I want to dive into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and again, I'm going to be doing some drawing. So if you guys are on Facebook and Zoom, you'll see that. If you're on Instagram, unfortunately, Instagram does not allow for the screen sharing. Okay. So if you're on Instagram, you won't be able to see my drawing. And if you'd like to, you can go to course.wealthdynamics.com and you can log in. And you can watch on Zoom instead, or you can find me on Facebook, Jerry Fetta, and you can watch there as well. But I want to kind of dive into a couple of concepts, right? So the first thing that I want to talk about is, again, this idea of becoming financially free. Okay, financially free. This is like all the way at the very top, right? Financial freedom. We've talked about what this means. This is passive income that exceeds my savings, expenses, and taxes. This is the ability to no longer have to trade time for money, and the ability to treat money like oxygen. That's at the very top, right? Now, between now and then, wherever I'm at, whether I am where I'm at personally, whether I am paying off debt, whether I am just starting a forced savings plan, maybe I'm just now investing for passive income, wherever I'm at, there's going to be a sequence of things that I need to do in order to get there, right? And so this sequence is kind of an upward projection. And these are like phases. We have this thing called the blueprint to financial freedom. It's full of these phases, right? One of the final phases is financial freedom. Right before that, one of the phases is I've got to become accredited, right? Before that, we've got to become sophisticated as an investor, some of these different terms that we have to achieve. And so it kind of goes all the way down to like phase 0. And phase 0 means that I need to, number one, understand what money is. Okay. I also need to be earning an income, right? And I need to be paying attention and budgeting and doing all these very basic things. And once I do that, I can start paying off debt. Once I do that, I can start saving. Once I do that, I can start investing and building solvency. But those behaviors precede being able to do the solvency thing, right? So there's these different phases, and each of these phases is like a threshold. And it's kind of like graduating. I go from one level to the next. And so the things that I was doing at phase 0, let's say phase 0, I'm paying off debt. Once I've paid off my debt, I'm not still doing that. I'm doing the next thing, right? The next thing might be building up reserves, or the next thing might be investing. And so my point here is, when we graduate, oftentimes we leave behind, and correctly so, the things we were doing on the previous phase, right? We're not still paying off debt when we're on phase 4, right? We're doing phase 4 things instead. So it's kind of like a binary thing where there's a graduated level of achievement. In that graduated level of achievement, we move on from one thing to the next. We no longer do the old thing. We start doing the new thing, right? That is true, but it's binary, meaning there's two sides to this. Okay, there's also a series of constant things we always do, no matter whether we're on phase 0 or we're on phase 2 or we're on phase 4 or we're on phase 8. It doesn't matter. There are certain things that basically we continue to do. We have to continue to do these things. And so this is kind of the other side of it, is these never stop, right? These are repetitive. And these are things that no matter what phase I'm at, I'm never going to grow out of these. Okay. And I want to hit this tonight because as an accredited investor, as a sophisticated investor, maybe you're building and doing your first set of investments, we may feel like, okay, this is not as important and I don't have to do these things as much anymore. Not true. Okay. And I'm going to relate this again to when I was a bodybuilder to give you guys some reality on what this looks like. Okay. So the first thing that I want to go over with you tonight is the daily financial behaviors. We're going to call this the triangle of financial behavior, right? So we've got this triangle of financial behavior. We'll call these habits instead. Okay, triangle of financial habits, right? So if I am trying to improve my finances, there are 3 things I have to be doing every day. We're not talking about blueprint phases here. Okay, we're talking about daily habits, daily disciplines, things that I do no matter what. The first thing that I have to do here is every day I've got to study. Okay. I've got to study. I've got to learn about finances. Okay. Now check this out. I went through grade school. I went through middle school. I went through high school. I did not go to college, but I did not learn about money once in school. Nobody ever sat down with me and said, Jerry, this is how you track your income. This is how you increase it. Nobody ever sat down and said, Jerry, this is how you rate your expenses, categorize them, and budget them. Nobody ever said, Jerry, you're going to pay these things called taxes. Here's how they work, right? But think about this. We go to school. If you think about why are we in school, we're like really get down to why are we in school? We're in school so that we can get jobs, so that we can get employment later on in life, right? So the time we're in kindergarten all the way through, 12th grade, even into college, the entire point of school is get good grades, right? So that you can graduate, so that you can get a good job. Like that's it, right? That's the reason we are in school, right? So when we get a good job, the reason we're getting a good job is so that we can pay the bills. So we are literally in school in order to earn money. They're prepping us. They're giving us the behaviors and the knowledge to be able to be a citizen and join, society as an employee or a business owner or an entrepreneur or whatever, and go earn an income, right? So that means from the time we're 5 or 6 in kindergarten, we are groomed to go earn an income. So then why do we never once learn about money? Right? We learned, I think in second grade, I learned, started learning my times tables. Right. I start learning times tables in second grade. I don't know if that's early or late. I don't know. Maybe you guys learned them sooner or later than that. But the times tables, could they not have just put dollar signs in front of the numbers? And I could have then learned how finances work. Right. Even before that, kindergarten, I'm learning how to count. Right. Could they not have given me little pieces of fake money and said, count these? I'm learning to add. Could they not have had me put dollar signs in front of the numbers so I can learn how to add and subtract? Because that's all finance is. We said it's add, subtract, multiply, divide. Everything with personal finance comes down to that. Everything that you see as far as terminology and verbs, those are just physical manifestations of a behavior of adding, subtracting, multiply, or dividing. We have to call it something. We have to give it an index to differentiate it from something else. So we come up with a term. So the vocabulary is just the underlying is we're adding, subtracting, multiplying or dividing with money, which is just numbers. Right? So we never once learned about finances. I know people that went to college that they never learned about finances. I was a financial advisor. Literally, I took the tests. I passed the licenses. I didn't learn anything about personal finances. I learned how to sell mutual funds. I learned how life insurance worked. That's not finances. Those are financial products. We're talking about when you work, you get money. What do you do with it? That is personal finance. So the first thing we've got to do every day is study. We've got to study. That has to be a daily behavior, right? We have to study about finances. We've got to study about money. Now, the thing is studying is observation with the intent to understand and apply. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Study is the observation of something with the intent to understand it and to apply it. So we study things all day long. We observe things all the time. Okay, we observe Netflix, we observe Facebook, we observe Instagram, we observe whatever, right? We observe stuff all the time. We have the intent to understand it, and oftentimes we have the intent to apply it. Why don't we do that with money? Couldn't we spend 20 minutes a day learning about money? Couldn't we spend an hour a day learning about money? Right? So study is a big part of this. This has to be a daily activity. If you don't study about money, you will never know how money works or why things happen the way they happen. Good example, and not to get political, but I'm just going to go because I'm not on the left side or the right side. I don't agree with either of them. But the whole COVID stimuluses, the average taxpayer, if we take all the money the government has spent on protecting us from the COVIDs, it comes out to $41,000 per taxpayer. 41,000. If we divide it by the number of taxpayers, that means that they have spent $41,000 per head. Right? What did you and I get? We got what? $1,400 just now, right? And then we got, what was it? Like $600 or $2,000 or something like that earlier in the year. So we got a few $1,000s, but they've spent 41,000 per taxpayer. Okay. If I don't understand money, I'm going to be excited about the $1,400 because not understanding money makes me broke. If I am broke, then I'm desperate for finances and I don't understand how to earn it because I don't understand what it is. So then if I'm broke and I don't understand money, I'm hoping for a handout. When I get one, I'm going to be excited and not realize that $41,000 per head means increased taxes. It means inflation. It means things are going to cost more in the future. I don't know any of that if I don't study money. If I don't study money, right? Now, the second thing we've got to do every single day is we have to earn income. Earning income. Earning income is an action. This is not a result or a byproduct. It is something we do. It is causative. There are leading indicators, things we do. They're the gas pedal. Then there are lagging indicators, the thing that shows up on the back end. Income is not a lagging indicator. Earning income is a leading indicator. We do things to earn income. Okay, we work, whether that means we sell, whether that means we trade time for money, whether that means we trade a task for money, whether that means we trade an idea for money. We have to earn income every single day. Okay, this has to be a daily thing, right? If I don't earn income, I can't pay my bills. If I don't earn income, then I'm excited that I'm going to get a $1,400 check that's probably going to be gone in 2 weeks, right? Which technically I didn't earn, which means that it's not mine, it's someone else's. And I'm borrowing against the future in order to have that money today, right? So I have to earn income every day. If I don't earn income every day, I can't be financially successful, right? And this happens at every level, whether I am brand new, just starting out, right? Whether I am paying off debt, whether I'm saving, whether I'm investing, I still have to earn income no matter what, right? So I've got to do that. And then the second thing, so actually earning income is the second thing. The third thing is I've got to account for my expenses. Okay, I've got to account for my expenses. Now, accounting for my expenses does not mean that I budget and try and save $4 on cereal because that's going to make me wealthy. Accounting for my expenses means that I intentionally spend my money and then I go back and make sure it went where I told it to go. Okay, this is not Dave Ramsey, like live on beans and rice. This is literally like, we're going to look at, all right, I plan on spending this. Okay. And then I'm going to go back and make sure that I did spend that. That's as simple as it is, right? So we've got to account for our expenses. The reason why is one of the equations for financial solvency is I've got to earn more than I spend. Okay. Now, if we flip this and we go all Dave Ramsey, then it's actually spend less than I make, which is poverty mindset. That's actually reducing your life, right? Living below your means. We don't want to do that. We definitely, the math has to work. Again, addition and subtraction. You've got to have more there in surplus, and that way there's no deficit and you're not borrowing. And we're going to do that by first earning income. And then second, accounting for the expenses, right? So these are things we have to do. And I want to relate this again. Like I said, I was a bodybuilder before I ever got into finances. So I want to kind of break down some parallels for you guys, because I think we can all relate to this, right? So when we think about finances, I want you to relate this also to personal fitness, okay? If I'm trying to get in shape, okay, if I'm trying to get in shape, if I'm trying to, lose weight or get a six pack or whatever it would be, there are three similar things I've got to do, right? So again, we could make this into a triangle and we could say, well, I would still have to study, right? If I was going to go to the gym, right? Who's ever been to the gym and didn't know what the hell to do? You didn't know what machines were what. You didn't know, if you were supposed to sit in it or you were supposed to push the machine or pull the machine or where the cables go or any of that stuff, right? I've been that guy. First time I ever went to the gym, I didn't know how any of the equipment worked, right? I didn't know how my own muscles worked, right? I didn't know what, was I supposed to be sore? Did I injure myself? How slow should I go on this rep? How fast should I go? Right? I didn't know any of those things. Same thing with nutrition. I didn't know what the calorie counts were on different foods. I didn't know macronutrients. I didn't know micronutrients. I didn't know phytonutrients, any of those things. So when I started getting involved in bodybuilding, I had to study. I had to learn about my own body. I had to learn about my skeletal system. Okay, I had to learn about my muscular system. I had to learn about the different weights. I had to learn about the different machines. I had to learn different exercises. I had to learn different rep cadences. I had to study nutrition and understand, how many calories are in carbohydrates and proteins and fats, and how do those all add up so that I can actually start to take control of my physical fitness. Okay, if I don't do this, I can't get in shape. Okay, because if I don't know what to do when I get to the gym, I'm not going to exercise. If I don't understand the numerical value of the different calories in my food, I'm not going to be able to make sure that I solve the equation of losing weight or gaining weight, which is, if I'm trying to lose weight, I've got to eat less than I burn, right? If I'm trying to gain weight, I've got to eat more than I burn. That's as simple as it gets. But if I don't understand food and I don't understand fitness and muscles and working out and all this stuff, then I'm not going to be able to do it. So there's nothing that gets us around studying in life. That's just part of life. We have to study. I study all the time. So I want to encourage you, like with finances, the study thing, you have to do that too. Okay. We didn't learn about it. Just like at least in school, we had PE class, right? We learned a little bit about like physical education and push-ups and laps and stretching and whatever else we learned in school. Well, in finances, we didn't. And so we have to realize that we're behind the 8 ball. I'm 28. So if I was just starting today, that means that I am backlogged 28 years of life where I learned nothing about money. And I have to go basically reach all the way back and pull all of that into today. I've got to play catch up, right? I've got 28 years worth of catch up. I know people that are in their 40s that are just now learning about money, and it's not a ding on them. And I'm proud of them for doing it, but realize there are 40 years of backlogged information about money that we have to basically go back and get all of it in order and bring it up to today. Okay. So the longer I've gone without studying about finances, without studying about money, the longer it's going to take for me to get up to speed. And I have to realize that, and I have to take responsibility for it. Now, this is not going to be like maybe the most sensitive thing, but we didn't learn about it in school. We can blame that. We can definitely, I'm going to give you that. Like we didn't learn about it in school. That's their fault. We should have learned about it. Everyone could have taught us. They didn't. Good. Now that we've established that, you're not in school anymore, and you know you don't understand money. So it's up to you to freaking do something about it. Do I want to actually learn about money? Do I actually want to put in the time to study and get educated and learn about how this stuff works? Because I have the choice at this point. I can't blame it on my teachers anymore. I'm 28 years old. That was in high school. I can't be like, oh, I'm broke because high school. I'm broke because college. So I actually have to buck up and say, hey, if I really want to learn about finances, I am going to put the work in order to learn about finances. And I'm going to forget about being able to blame people, because now it's my responsibility, right? So up to the point of now, it was everyone else's fault. Up to the point where I realized that I don't know about money, if I continue living in that condition, that's my fault, right? So with physical fitness, same thing, right? See the parallel there. So as a bodybuilder, I had to learn about my body, because no one ever said, this is how this works, this is how that works. I was never taught about calories, and I could have lived a victim my entire life and said, no one ever taught me. I don't know. This is too hard. There's too much information. But the reality is I can now in this time start learning. And it might take some time, but it's going to take some time for me to continue being ignorant too. It's the same time, right? I can experience the difficulty of never understanding money and the consequences and repercussions, which are generational, by the way, if you want to increase the responsibility level there. Or I can experience the difficulty of opening the books up. Okay, starting to study, starting to master these topics, right? So that's studying. Now, the other thing, we're again talking about how this relates to physical fitness, because we all can understand physical fitness. With finances, sometimes it goes over our head. So I want to draw the parallel because it makes it very real. Okay. The other thing we've got to do is we have to diet. The D word. If we're trying to improve our physical health, we've got to diet. We've got to have an actual fitness diet regimen going on. And so with dieting, I want to relate this to earning income. Okay, when I first thought about this, I was like, okay, well, dieting would be like budgeting, because I was thinking about counting calories. I was like, well, I count my calories just like I would count my expenses. Okay, and so with dieting, it's actually more like earning income, right? Counting calories, like what I'm eating in taking into my body, is like intaking income. If I'm intaking something, it's coming in rather than going out. So that's more like earning income. Okay, now as a bodybuilder, 80% of my results were from my diet. Okay, I could work out and work out and work out, but if my diet sucked, there was no way that I could work out my diet. So my diet had to be on point, which is important because the income has to be on point as well. So if I look at this from the standpoint of similarity, I've got to diet every day. I've got to count my macros. I've got to see what my food intake can be. And if I don't do that, then I'm going to have to spend more time in the gym. I'm going to have to do more cardio, and it's going to wear me down. We're going to talk about the workout part next and how that relates to expenses. But I have to diet every single day, and that's the equivalent of working to earn income every day. Right? Dieting, that's throughout the day. I have my breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever. That's throughout the entire day. I've got to watch my intake. If I'm trying to gain weight, I've got to make sure that I've got a lot of intake. If I'm trying to lose weight, I have to make sure that I have, the right amount of intake and that there's a deficit so that I'm losing weight. With finances, that's like my income. I should be producing income all day long. Most of us do spend 6, 8, 10, 12 hours at a job, right? Or in our businesses. So that's the equivalent of like, I'm eating, I'm intaking, I'm bringing in. So if I'm not eating, working out can't help me. You guys see that in the world of fitness, when somebody has a caloric deficit that's too large and they start working out, their body will actually burn muscle because muscle has less calories than fat. So the body wants to preserve the fat because the fat is like the reserves. It's like if things get really bad, we have this excess fat that the body can burn, right? So it actually starts eating away muscle mass. If you've ever seen, people that are severely malnourished, they've got no muscle mass, right? So if I'm working out and not dieting, then I'm not going to be able to have results with fitness. Just like with finances, if I am budgeting without earning more income, I'm not going to be able to do anything. Budgeting is like the workout, right? So that's the third thing I have to do. That's for sure. I've got to have a budget or an accounting system, right? That's the equivalent of working out, right? When I was a bodybuilder, I would spend 45 minutes to an hour in the gym. When I was in the gym, like, contrary to popular belief, when I was in the gym, I was actually tearing my body down. When I'm working out, that's actually breaking down the muscle tissue. It's an act of destruction. And you do need it because when it rebuilds bigger. And that's where muscular growth comes from, right? But the longer I spent in the gym, it was actually a negative return. If I did a 3-hour workout, it was actually a negative return. I was losing gains, right? Similar with budgeting. Like, there's only so much I can budget. If I start budgeting down too far, I actually start losing. I've in my life budgeted all the way down to homeless. I've actually done that. I'm here to tell you it's not a good idea, right? It's like working out, get in, get done, finish, and then get back into the diet. You've got to eat, you've got to get the calories in, you've got to do all this stuff, right? So with finances and fitness, I want to relate these because if I was trying to lose weight or if I was trying to gain muscle and I came to you and I said, all right, I know nothing about my body or about nutrition, and I've never planned to. I'm not going to learn how to work out. I'm not going to learn how calories work. That's too much. I don't have time. I have kids. I have a job. I have this. I have that. I'm going to continue being ignorant about my body and calories. But I want to lose weight or I want to gain muscle. In addition to that, I'm not going to diet. I'm not going to diet. I'm not going to count my calories. I'm going to eat whatever I want to eat whenever I want to eat it. I'm not going to pay attention or track any of that stuff. And on top of that, I'm also not going to go to the gym, right? So I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to work out. This actually should say workout. The workout is the equivalent of budgeting. I'm not going to work out because I don't like going to the gym and I don't know what to do because I don't study the things. So I don't know what workouts to do. So I'm not even going to do it, but I want to lose weight and I want to gain muscle. Every single one of us would know that I would never make progress because I don't know anything about what I'm trying to do. I'm not willing to diet and I'm not willing to go to the gym. Right. And this is where, like, again, I'm all about mindset, but I'm also more about activity and behavior. If I tell you that I want to gain muscle and I'm not going to study how to gain muscle and I'm not going to be on a diet and I'm not going to work out, I'm full of shit. I'm never going to make results. I'm never going to make progress. And I can go to mindset conferences and read Think and Grow Rich and watch Arnold Schwarzenegger videos till the cows come home, and I will not make results with my physical fitness. Because I'm lying at that point. I'm saying, I want this, but I'm not willing to do any of the daily behaviors that get there. Okay, what does this have to do with finances, right? With finances, we got to study, right? So that's similar. With finances, like we said, the diet, this is like earning income. Right. So I've got to earn income. That's like me intaking and getting good nutrition and getting the right food and calories. Right. With finances, I've got to budget or account. Right. That's me counting and actually like taking my outtake and making sure that that's calculated as well. Right. So if I am saying I want to be an accredited investor, I want to get out of debt. I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm tired of not saving money. However, I'm not willing to spend any time studying and learning about money. And I'm not willing to go increase my income and work more, or maybe learn sales or figure out some way to get the income up. I don't care how you do it. Just, you got to do it. But I'm not willing to, right? And I'm not willing to budget because that's too much time and I forget and whatever my reasons are. It does not matter how bad I say I want it. I will never make financial progress. Never. It'll never happen. Right? So these three things have to happen every day. I can't help you become an accredited investor if you won't study every day. Okay, I'm not going to carry you and walk you through the finish line and tell you what every single thing is and explain how your taxes work and explain it when you're not willing to study, right? I can't help you get there if you're not willing to increase your income. I can't help you get there if you're not willing to track and account for your expenses. Now, these are not hard things. My experience has been at the very basic level. If you spend 30 minutes a day, you can do all three of these things. You spend 10 minutes studying, do one segment in Wealth Dynamics University, one segment. Okay. You spend 10 minutes on Facebook, you spend 30 minutes on Netflix. You can do one segment on Wealth Dynamics University, which is like 10 minutes, right? Then you could spend, 10 minutes planning out your work for the day. How am I going to earn income? You're going to go to work anyways, hopefully. Okay. If you're not, I can't help you there. But if you're earning income, spend 10 minutes planning it. How am I going to increase my income today? Where are my opportunities at? Spend 10 minutes logging your expenses and rating your transactions on a 1 to 5 scale. Everyone should do this. Now, a couple of things that I want to hit. Anyone that's into, I'm going to keep on the bodybuilding just because this is where I learned all of this. Okay. So when I was an amateur, right? An amateur, I hope I spell amateur right. When I was an amateur, let me know, spelling nerds, if I spelled amateur right. That's a U, not an N. When I was an amateur bodybuilder, I had to do all these things in order to start making gains, right? And I had to build it into a habit, and I had to actually get it down to where it was routine. And I didn't have to think about whether or not I should behave the right way on a daily basis with my fitness and my nutrition, right? Now, my mistake was when I get to a certain point, or when I get close to going pro, which I have had every intention of doing, I won't have to work so hard because I'm going to have all of this residual experience and all this stuff that helped me, right? No. The reality is when I became close to going pro, and I didn't go pro, I was very close to going down that road. When I became to the point where it was like, okay, if I start winning shows, I'm going to become a professional. That put me in a position where I actually had to do the study, earn. Actually, with bodybuilding, this is not earn. This was study, diet, and exercise, right? Study, diet, and work out. I had to actually increase that. I had to do it even more. If you ever watch like documentaries on bodybuilding, and you'll see like, competitive bodybuilders that weigh 250 pounds and they're competing for Mr. Olympia, their diet is a freaking science, right? The amount that they spend on nutrition and coaches and dialing in their diet and their workouts, like the amount of time and money and effort is drastically more than the amateur. Okay. The same thing happens with finances. When I'm just beginning this, if I can't figure out studying about money, like in the very beginning, if I can't figure out studying about money, it's not going to happen when I get to the point where I have, buku investments and a family office and all of this other stuff going on. Okay. If I can't figure out how to earn more income just starting out, it's not going to happen when I've got all these moving parts when I'm accredited. I probably won't even get accredited. If I can't figure out how to operate on a budget and account for my expenses when I'm starting out, it's not going to happen when I get to the point where I've got 4 or 5 companies and dozens of investments and all this accounting that has to be done. This is the time, if I'm not accredited yet, this is the time to build that behavior. This is the time to build that behavior. Now, on behavior, who's ever heard of the 21-day rule? Okay, 21 days to build a habit. We've all heard that in some form, right? 21 days to build a habit. It's nice, but it's not true. And so I want to share this with you. And I don't mean to be like the intense, like all of the things you learned about everything were wrong, but I don't want to give you the wrong impression where this is this easy thing you can kind of just skate through. Okay. There are actually scientific tests that have been done that say it takes at least 66 consecutive days to build a habit. At the minimum, 66 consecutive days. If I'm trying to build a habit, I've got to do something every single day for at least 66 days before it becomes ingrained in my brain, where it's literally like second nature. Okay. So 66 days, that's at the minimum. On the maximum, it can take up to a year to build the habit. Okay. And when I say habit, I mean, it's programmed. Like I don't have to think about it. Like when something becomes a habit, it's just a reaction, right? So if I am here watching tonight, I'm like, okay, I get what Jerry's saying. I want to build these habits. I want to do the big 3. I want to make sure I'm studying every day. I want to make sure I'm earning income every day. And I want to make sure that I'm accounting for my expenses every day. That means every single day, at least for the next 66 days in a row, I've got to log in on Wealth Dynamics U and train on at least one segment every single day for the next 66 days at a minimum. For me, I'm more hard-headed. It takes more than 66 days. For me, it's closer to 90. right? If I'm trying to earn more income, I have to consciously spend time every single day on ways to increase my income and actually do them every single day for at least 66 days. And again, for me, it's closer to 90. Okay, if I'm trying to increase my income and become solvent, that means I've got to also have my budget, my accounting done. That means every single day for at least the next 66 days, I've got to log into the mint.com app or whatever app I use for my budget every single day for at least 66 days and log my transactions and do the 1 to 5 game. And if I really want to turn this into a habit, it means I will do that every single day for the next 66 days. For me, I would say 90, just push it to 90 days. At 90 days, it probably will become a habit. And after 90 days, it'll just be second nature that you train and learn about money. It'll just be second nature that you wake up and look at your pipeline and figure out how to earn more income that day. It'll just become second nature that you log your transactions and do the 1 to 5 game. Okay. And the reason why it's becoming second nature is because you do it. It's done through action. Okay. So if I'm here and I'm like, yeah, all this is important and I'm a client or I'm interested in becoming a client, or maybe I'm just watching this and this makes sense. None of that matters if you don't implement. None of it matters. You got to actually get the studying done. You actually got to increase the income. You actually got to do the budget, or none of it matters. It's all wasted. A sacred account is not going to change your behavior. Okay. Like becoming accredited is not going to change your behavior. There's so many stories of professional football players and NBA players and lottery winners that earn millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then within 5 years of their winnings, they're broke and usually filing bankruptcy. I can't tell you, like, just Google the stats on that. It's like a crazy number, like 40 to 60% of them, because the windfall did not change their behavior. They still did not study and understand money. They still did not consciously increase their income. They still did not consciously account for their expenses. Okay, now the beauty of this is if you do this now and turn this into a habit, as you start growing, like you get up to the point where you're solvent and then you're investing and then you become sophisticated, and meaning you've got $250,000 in net worth, and then you become accredited. And then we're like, hey, we're going to help you build your family office, meaning we're going to help you hire staff so that you can turn your wealth into a corporation and grow a legacy that's generational. That means that when you start hiring people, it's already ingrained. You don't have to teach them habits you don't have yourself. You'll have culture. You'll say, hey, I'm hiring you and you and you to help me grow this portfolio as staff or as employees so that my kids, my grandkids, and maybe these are your family that you're hiring. And you're going to be able to say from experience and integrity, we're going to study money every day. We're going to look at how can we increase the income of my portfolio. We're going to look at how can we account for the expenses, because you actually have them as behaviors yourself. Okay, when you've got to teach it to someone else, it's different if you've never done it before. It's almost impossible to teach something to someone if you've never actually done it, right? And I would say don't even try to do that, because that's not integrity, right? So my challenge for everyone watching is forget the 66 days. Let's go the full 90. For the next 90 days, we study money every single day, right? We study money. We earn more income every single day. And then we account for our expenses every single day. And if we all do that for the next 90 days, the transformations we would see in all of our personal finances would be just amazing. And it doesn't matter whether you're just starting out or whether you're me. This will help everybody, right? So what I want to do is I want to take a really quick break from the whiteboard. I want to actually show you guys how you can go about doing this, because we have tools for all of this stuff to make it easy for everybody to actually jump on board and be able to win with this. Okay, so the first thing that I want to go over here is I want to actually show you guys inside of our Wealth Dynamics University platform. Okay, what does this look like? How do we train on it? Because this is the study part. The problem with studying, and this is why we have our online university, is people don't know how to study. They don't know what to study. They don't know in what order to study. Like, who's ever been like, I want to learn about a topic, and then you just Google it and you don't really know if you're even learning about it in the right sequence. Like you're learning stuff and you're reading stuff for sure, but it might be stuff that's, 2 months down the road, you're not even going to encounter today. Right. So inside of our program, Wealth Dynamics University, what we did is we actually created a online training program to help all of our clients be able to study and learn about money. Let me give myself host access again here. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here. So if I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, I'm a client of Wealth Dynamics, or I want to become a client of Wealth Dynamics, or I'm just now, tuning in, I'm curious about what this is all about. Okay, so we're on the topic of studying. We all have 10 minutes a day we can study, right? We all have 10 minutes a day we can study. So this is a online training university, a training program that we have in partnership with Lightspeed VT with Brad Lee. He's a friend of mine. And so we put this program together on Lightspeed. This is all financial content. This is everything I had to go learn myself. Okay, because when I started learning about money, like I said, I became a financial advisor. I studied all these tests, got all these licenses. It turned out all of that information was irrelevant. Then I was like, okay, well, let me go learn something relevant. I started studying Dave Ramsey, and it turned out that that information wasn't right either. And I went from that to Robert Kiyosaki to Grant Cardone to everyone that I could think of, and I still couldn't figure it out. And then I finally realized it's because all of these guys are still in the race. None of them have finished. So I actually went back to guys like Andrew Carnegie and John Rockefeller and the Rothschilds family and all these guys that are dead. And we have a full biography of their beginning of life to end of life. And we can see everything they did with their finances. And I started studying them. And that took years, and I still study it today. But what we did is we took all of that and codified it and organized it and put it in this university so that you don't have to guess. You can just jump in and start training, right? So when I get into the program, like the first thing that I should be doing here is I should be, if I have a sacred account, learning about that. But I can do, like, for example, the personal financial purge. This would help me increase my income and get my budget figured out, right? This is a course that I can spend 10 minutes a day on. I can go through each of the modules. And at the end of this, I would have a budget. I would have an income plan, right? I would be saving money. I would have all of these. I would have my accounts set up and organized correctly. I could do this 10 minutes a day. If I didn't want to do that, there's also our bullion course. I can go in 10 minutes a day and I can learn about how money really works on our bullion course, right? So I can go in here, there's 42 segments. I can spend 10 minutes a day learning about what real money is and how gold and silver interact with our economy and why our currency used to be backed by it no longer is, right? I can learn about why does our central bank still have 80% of their reserves in gold and silver. And at the end of this, I would come out with a financial education that trumps anybody out there. Literally, you get done with the bullion course, you probably have a top 1% understanding of how money works, right? This is 10 minutes, guys. Like, I'm not saying train on all of these segments in a single day. I don't actually want you to do that because you're not going to apply the information. I want you to do a segment today, 10 minutes, get it done, boom, move on with life, right? But all of this information is in there. I could also learn about the blueprint itself. If I want to learn what steps should I be taking with my finances, I can go to the Blueprint of Freedom course and I can actually start learning about what is an accredited investor, what is wealth, how do I become sophisticated, right? How do I save 40% of my income? So this is all inside the training. And inside of this, it tracks like how many videos are you watching, right? It tracks how are your test scores going, right? What are your passing rates? What are your failing rates? If I want to go in here and I want to learn about maybe stuff that's not even Wealth Dynamics related, right? Let's say I want to learn sales. I can go into the skill shop and I can learn about sales. I can go into the skill shop here and I can get courses from other people. I can get, well, what do we have in the skill shop? Let me show you guys. This again, you spend 10 minutes a day learning this stuff. I can get a closing class from Bradley. I can get Cardone University. I can get Brian Tracy's course. I can get Damon John's course. This is all inside the platform. Okay, so this is like so much information. Like, we literally have just on Wealth Dynamics over 300 videos, probably close to 400 now. 400 segments on personal finance. It's all relevant. It's all organized correctly. It's all the right information at the right time. All you've got to do is go in and train on it. Right? So I'm doing that. That's the first thing. If I'm a client, I'm training every day. I would say the next 90 days, do one segment a day, no matter what. If you want to do 3, 4, 5, 6, great, but at least do one. Okay. Because I can't help you build wealth. My team can't help you become financially free if you're not willing to become literate. It's like saying, I'm going to teach you how to read when you're not willing to read. Right? It just, you can't have that. It doesn't work. Right? The other thing that I want to show you, this is inside the PFP course, but I want to show you our personal financial management tool that we created to help you with the income and the budget thing. Like we talked about, you got to have the income. That's got to be a plan every single day. I've got to have the budget. I've got to account for my expenses. That's got to happen every day as well. So I want to show you guys what we have lined out for you there. So if you go into the personal financial purge and you take that course, as a byproduct of doing that, you're going to get access to our personal financial purge tool. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So this is basically, let me close out a couple of these tabs. This is basically what you would see, right? You would get this spreadsheet, and this basically is your budget. And if you do this, you'll have your entire budget figured out. You'll know how much you pay in taxes. You'll know how much you pay on insurances. We've got everything broken down and categorized. All you've got to do is enter your numbers, right? You'll be able to put that in. You'll be able to see, what did I earn and spend last week in the last 7 days? How do I plan my income out for the next 7 days? Right? So I've got this week's review. What are my wages going to look like? What do I plan on earning? Do I have bonuses? Do I have tips? Am I selling stuff? What do I need to set aside for this week's upcoming expenses? Right? What did I have last week? If I have last week to review, what was my income last week? What did I plan for it to be? What did I say I was going to spend? What did I actually spend? We've got a tool in here for the 1 to 5 game. So I can actually import my transactions from mint.com and paste them into this. And then I can do the 1 to 5 rating system, right? The 1 to 5 rating system. If I look at a day's worth of transactions, and I would actually do this every single day, I would import my new transactions. I would rate them on a 1 to 5 scale. 1, it was dumb, I'm going to return it. 2, it was bad timing, I don't need it right now, I'm going to return it. 3, it's a maybe. Maybe I keep it, maybe I return it, but I'll make a decision either way. 4, it's necessary for survival. So that's food, shelter, clothing, education, housing. What else? We have food, clothing, shelter, education, personal, physical well-being, health. Like, those are all the survival things. I have to have those. Okay. And then 5, things that increase my income or reduce my taxes. Based on the rating, I'm going to have a correlating action. And then I'm going to say, who's responsible? Are we keeping it? Are we returning it? What's going to happen there? Then I can also rate my purchase requests. If I want to buy a new thing, a new car, a new this, a new that, there's a system in here to actually rate that and figure out, should I do this or should I not do this? Right? It's all in here. So what I'm saying is, spend 10 minutes a day on Wealth Dynamics University, 10 minutes a day, right? There's so much in there. We've even got a community. You can go in here in our community, and you can interact with everyone else inside the program. This is literally like our own wealth social media account. If you go in here, you can actually post, you can ask questions, you can go through and network with people, meet people in our group. This is all inside Wealth Dynamics University. This program is so versatile, right? So 10 minutes a day doing that, 10 minutes a day planning out my income. How am I going to increase my income? And then 10 minutes a day on logging and transacting my expenses and making sure that my accounting is in. If I do that every single day for the next 90 days, my life will look drastically different financially. Okay. Now, like I said, this is separate from the blueprint, but it coincides. Okay. If I'm on the blueprint and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go from phase 0 to phase 1. I paid off all my debt. Let me get my 6 months in reserves. Me doing this every day, studying every day, earning more income every day, and accounting for my expenses every day is going to help me get to phase 1 faster. Okay, if I'm on phase 1 and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm building the expenses up. I got the reserves built up. I've got my sacred account funded. I want to start buying gold and silver. I want to start getting into real estate. I want to start doing this. I want to start doing that. Good, do that. That's your next phase, but also train every day. Increase your income every day. Account for your expenses every day. It's going to get you there faster. Okay, all this stuff matters. And I'm going to wrap up on this note because I want to answer questions next, but this is going to happen anyways. Right? Like this is a condition of either it exists with my knowledge and with my control, or it exists without my knowledge and without my control. Let's take financial education, for example. Let's say that I don't study. Let's say that I continue on my life financially ignorant and I don't try and ever learn anything about money. Let's say I don't do that. I just leave it off and I'm like, I'm gonna just enjoy life and be ignorant about money. Ignorance is bliss. Okay. There still is knowledge about money that exists. There still is knowledge that will impinge on me in my life, whether I'm aware of it or not. For example, if I borrow money on a credit card and don't pay it back, they're going to try and collect on me. That's a natural cause and effect of finances, whether I know that or not, right? So me knowing about it doesn't change the fact that it's going to happen, right? If I know about it, I can actually be in responsibility over it and have some control over it. Versus if I don't, I'm just going to be getting clocked upside the head all the time financially because I don't know what anything does, how it works, why it's happening, or any of that. Okay. Same thing with income. I'm going to have to work. Okay. And if I don't, I'm going to be either homeless or I'm going to live on government subsidies. I'm still exchanging something for that. If I'm homeless, that's not free. Like I exchange my life for homelessness, right? If I'm living on government subsidies, that's not free. I've got to meet certain criteria to get that. I'm exchanging to get those government subsidies. I would just say go earn income. But what I'm saying is we all have something we're going to do to exchange to get income in order to have a financial future in some capacity. I can be in control of that and I can say I'm going to earn more income. Okay, I'm going to increase my income so that I can have a better life. Or I can say I don't care, I'm not interested. I'm just going to continue, going through life without intentionally trying to grow my income. I'm still going to have bills. I've still got to work. I'm still going to do something. I'm going to occupy my time with something. So the question is, do I want to do that in a position of control and responsibility, or in a position where, again, I'm a victim? It keeps happening to me. Expenses, same thing. I'm going to spend money on stuff. It's a part of life. I will spend money on stuff. Do I want that to be things that help me or things that hurt me? See, all of these things exist whether we do them or don't do them. So if we do the stuff I'm talking about, life is easier, life is better. We're able to get more progress and get there faster and have a better life for us and for our families. If we've got kids, grandkids, etc., like all of this happens because we have legacy. We build a legacy of good behaviors, good habits, and then those habits transfer onto our kids, our grandkids, our charities, our churches, all the stuff that matters, right? So what I want to do, guys, I want to open this up for some questions. Just before we wrap up here, let me hit Instagram first. So again, the topic tonight is financial habits, behaviors. So if you have questions about financial habits or behaviors, things that maybe you've got questions about that you're doing, things you'd like to know how to do, things we talked about tonight while we were on course, go ahead and drop those in the comments. Let me just see if we have any worthwhile comments on Instagram. Nothing so far. Let me see if there's anything else on Instagram. So someone asked, how do I start getting money? So that's a good question. Now, I would actually change the wording of that question because it reveals a little bit about mindset. It's not about getting money. It's about earning money. Okay. I wouldn't try and get money. I would try and earn money. Earning implies exchange. So if I want money, there's a triangle we have called knowledge, value, exchange, right? Knowledge, value, exchange. If I have knowledge, then I have value. And then if I exchange that knowledge and value with somebody, then I can earn income from them. So that would be how I would go about doing that. I would find a way like to get knowledge, which again, ironically goes back to studying. If I study, then I have knowledge, then that intrinsically makes me valuable. And then I can go exchange with other people. Now there's also the scale of exchange where at the very bottom, I can be exchanging, time, I can be exchanging effort. And if you work up to the top where it's ideas and concepts and different things, you can increase that rate. Okay, and that just goes to show, like, if I try and only earn income by trading time at a job, I'm very limited. So I've got to look at how can I grow that income while exchanging other things that are not limited. So like, tasks or ideas or products and services rather than just time. So that would be my answer there on how do I increase and get more income. Let me see if we have any other questions. I don't see any other questions on Instagram, so we'll go ahead and log out for tonight. All right, let's see what we have on Facebook. Good to see everyone tonight. Tyler, good to see you. Justin, good to see you. Steve, good to see you. Josiah has a question. How do I set up my 4 accounts for PFP? So Josiah, you would do that with your bank. So you'd set up your different accounts with your bank. One of those is obviously your sacred account. You'd set that up with us. Todd says, if one studies every day, not only are we learning and getting an education, this time spent will also occupy idle time that may have normally resulted in unnecessary pleasure or entertainment expenses. That's true. If you spend a lot of time studying, that's probably also, you know, an equivalent amount of time you're not spending money or doing stuff that pulls you further away from your goals. So that's an excellent observation by Todd. All right, Evo has a question. He says, I took the course How Our Wealth Part 2. I'm not sure what course that is. I had a question in reference to that course, but it applies overall to banking, government, and wealth. Are presidents aware of the system of things like the Fed and what it does? That's a good question. I think some of them probably are. Some of them probably aren't. You know, certain presidents have never said anything about it. Most of them overlook it entirely. So it's hard to say who knows and who doesn't know. The thing is do you know, and what are you doing about it? I've always learned, you know, it's less about who it is and why they're doing it. It's happening. So what are we going to do about it? David asks, why don't the schools teach finance? That is a long, deep rabbit hole. If you look historically in the early 1900s at a nonprofit corporation that was founded by John Rockefeller Jr. called the General Education Board, just start there and then follow it all the way to the 1960s when the federal government took over all schools and the General Education Board closed down. But basically, finances were purposely held out of school. So that's again a long, deep rabbit trail we won't go down tonight. But if you want that answer, you certainly can go looking for it. But again, like on that point, that's very interesting stuff to learn about. Like you can learn about John Rockefeller Jr. and the General Education Board and how they use school for psychological indoctrination, and how the civil rights movement in the 60s was largely about them transferring their power to the government. All that's very interesting. However, it doesn't help. So to kind of go back to what I said to Evo, it doesn't matter who is doing it and why it's why it's happening. Is the fact is it's happening. So the better solution is, all right, less about why is it happening and all that. It's more about what am I going to do about it. And so with this, like we can start teaching people. That's one of the reasons why Wealth Dynamics exists and why we do these courses. Is schools don't teach it, they never will. It's in nobody's interest for schools to teach finance. So we have to take responsibility. We have kids, friends, family, communities. We have to make sure that we are the ones that are teaching them about finances because no one else is going to. Rosemary asks, how do you balance life, mental health, and adding knowledge daily? I don't really, I think when you start doing it, the need to balance goes away. Balance is a focused state of keeping things the way they are, trying to prevent things from changing too much. Life is about change. So when I was focused on balance, it often was because I was equally focused on not making progress in certain areas because I didn't want to knock out other areas. Just go do life. I don't think about balance. I don't think about any of that stuff. I just set goals and go after them. And the reality is, like Justin said, balance is a myth. There's no such thing as balance. Coming from Justin, a guy that's got like 7 kids, a business, a farm, all sorts of crazy things going on in his life. So balance is something that doesn't really exist. It's nice as an idea, but I think more important is happiness and achievement. And if you focus on happiness and achievement, you don't worry about balance. You worry about getting happiness and achievement. Prioritize and execute is what Justin says. I think that's also a good way to handle that. All right, good. So I want to open this up to our Zoom questions. Excellent questions, everyone. I know tonight's course is a little more hardcore and behavior oriented. That is the part of me as a personality, as an individual that has made me successful, is the ability to take the minute little tasks that nobody wants to do, dieting and going to the gym, and freaking hammering on them over and over and over in my own life. And that's why I've been able to get where I'm at today. So I know this wasn't a bunch of ninja tactics and cool ideas and investments, but if you do this, you will become successful with finances and it will happen no matter what. And I would rather have you be working in I like to call it the salt mines, on studying and earning income and budgeting and all this stuff and make progress, because once you make the progress, I can help you through your phases, but I can't help you through your phases if you don't make the progress. All right, let's see what we have on Zoom for questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change my microphones over really quick. All right, so you guys should be able to hear me on the other microphone. Let me go ahead and put my screen view back on Spotlight. Good, so let me see what we have on Zoom for questions. And looks like we've got a couple. We're going to answer these live as usual. All right, good to see everybody. So we have a question from David here. Let me go ahead and bring David on live. All right, so we're live here with David Ambrosetti. David, how are you doing tonight?
Great, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So what is your question?
This goes back to a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about the buffet. And one of the things I've been trying to figure out, I bought a lot of things on the buffet, and I've got a SEP that I'm wondering if I can roll that into my sacred account, because it's doing, it's doing the usual, which is no fun. So I know I'd be taxed on that. I'm not sure if I can put it into the sacred account, but will I get penalized to do that?
Good question. So David is saying he's got a old retirement account. A SEP is a self-employed pension. It's a type of retirement account that business owners can set up. Now with that, there's actually a way to do something called self-directing. And David, that's something we could actually help you do. So you can move that SEP into a certain type of plan and have that plan own a sacred account. And there's no taxes and no penalties involved in that. Now there's some different things we'd have to look up on how to structure it and make sure that we can set it up to do that. But alternatively, we can also just do a self-directed SEP where it's still a SEP, but there's no custodian. Wealth Dynamics becomes the custodian. And then we allow you to invest in things like real estate, gold and silver, in some cases, life insurance and different things of that nature that are more on the alternative or hard asset side. So that would be something to look at. If you'd like, you can send me a statement on what you have and we can find out what it would look like to move that over, if it's possible, what we can do with structuring. And again, we can do that without any sort of penalties or any taxes. All right, we have a question here from Kansas. Let me go ahead and bring Kansas on live here.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, Kansas, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How can I help out?
I've got a couple friends, even family members that have been in real estate a little while, and they're pressuring me to buy a house right now before interest rates go up. And wondered if I don't own a house, I want to buy one eventually. So I'm kind of wondering what your thoughts are on the prime time to buy a house.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll answer that question. So Kansas is saying basically he's currently renting, it sounds like, and he's considering buying a house. He's getting a lot of pressure from others that probably either own houses or sell houses. Now with home ownership, definitely there's nothing wrong with it in the big picture of things. However, there's a time and a place for it. Now, the way that you determine on when is it the right time to buy a house is, number one, do I have consumer debt? Okay, if I do, I should not be getting involved in more debt. That's the reason why people get held down in the middle class. They never build wealth, is they start with the car and the credit cards and the student loans, and they just keep adding debt until they're giving 40 to 60% of their income to banks, and then they can't save or invest. So if you've got consumer debt, I would not get a house right now. If you don't have 6 months in reserves in your sacred account, I would not get a house right now. And then the final part is, if the house does not reduce your overall housing costs, I wouldn't do it. Okay, so when you're buying a house, like think about when you're renting. Renting is a little more simple. I pay my rent, maybe I pay some utilities, I probably pay some rental insurance, and that's my quote unquote housing cost. With the house, it's a little bit different. I've got principal, I've got interest, I've got taxes, I've got insurance, I've got utilities, I've got maintenance, I've got improvements, I've got repairs, I've got time spent, all of this extra stuff that I've got to spend money on when I own a house that I didn't plan for. I've got closing costs on the mortgage, I've got commissions when I sell it. So in order to calculate the real cost of owning a house, I've got to add all of those estimated expenses up and divvy them out into a monthly amount. very seldom do I see that those are cheaper than renting. Okay. So in order to make it work, because I'm not saying rent forever, there's a certain type of mortgage. It's called a first lien home equity line of credit. You would do that instead of a mortgage. In order to do that, you've got to have a 20% down payment. You've got to have 6 months in reserves, and you've got to have excellent credit. So I wouldn't buy one just because interest rates are low. Friends and family are great. However, if they own homes, usually they're just trying to make themselves feel more validated by convincing you to also own one. By you joining the club, they feel like it was a better idea with their decision. Alternatively, if they're realtors, they're just trying to make commission. They're not being vicious. They're not being, ill-intended, but that's how they get paid. And so, of course, they're going to tell you buy a house because they make money if you buy one, and they want you to buy it from them. So Kansas, there are some things we can go through with you on an individual basis to help you with some education on when is the right time, how should I structure it, and how do I get in a position where it makes sense? And we'd be happy to jump into that with you.
All right, thank you.
Hey, absolutely. All right, we have a question here from Marshall. Let me go ahead and bring Marshall on live here. All right, so we've got Marshall. Let me know, Marshall, if your microphone works or not. It doesn't look like it. So let me go ahead and just do his question the old-fashioned way here. So Marshall's question, I have a way to increase cash flow, but it's not a business, not pyramid, not multi-level marketing. Oh, that's a solicitation. Never mind. Marshall's pitching his deal in the comments. I can't blame him. Okay, Brad Reese has a question here. Let me go ahead and bring Brad on live. Hey, Brad, how's it going tonight?
Good, Jerry. How you doing?
I'm good. How can I help?
Well, trying to figure this one out. We're going, Tracy, are going through the financial purge, personal financial purge, and we're trying to figure out with the all-in-one loan we have, we're running through the income and, paying the expenses out of there. But it also says to set up the 4 accounts. So I'm trying to figure out how that's supposed to work and still bring down the principal and get the effective interest rate, because it is working. I'm seeing the benefits of this.
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, Brad has the what I was just telling Kansas. He's got the first lien home equity line of credit. There's a lot of technicality behind that, so I don't want to get into the weeds on how it works. So I'll go ahead and answer Brad's question. So Brad, with that account, there's 3 ways you can do it. On the 4 accounts, that can be the income account where all of your income gets deposited, right? So you could have it be that. It could also be the expense account where your income gets deposited into an income account. Then you transfer your weekly set-asides into it. It could also be both, right? So if you want it to be both, which for the purpose of reducing the interest on that loan, both is the best idea. You want to make sure that you're at least on paper accounting for the set-asides. In real life with the 4 accounts, you've got one account, all your income goes to it. You've got another account, all your expenses come out of it, and you've got your set-asides going into it. You've got the sacred account, which you have. You've also got your taxes and reserve account. So if you're not literally, because in real life, you would literally be transferring money between those accounts. And so there's an accounting trail that gets made through those transfers, and it makes it easy to follow. If you're not literally doing those transfers, then you would have to just make sure on paper you have enough that you're setting aside for different expenses on the reserve account. You'll have everything go into that all in one account and accrue there until it's time to pay bills and pull money out of it. Good questions. All right, I think that's all we have on Zoom. Let me see here. We've actually got one more from Brett Eddy, I think. Let me see here. Yeah, let me go ahead and bring Brett on live if he's still here. All right, so let's see if Brett is able to turn his mic on. Brett, I just gave you the ability to turn your mic on so we can answer your question here on air. And he may not have a mic, so let me do his the old-fashioned way here. Oh, there he is. We just had Brett on. Try again, Brett.
How's
Hey,
that?
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, Jerry, nice to talk to you.
You as well.
The question I have is, I'm not totally understanding everything right now, but like the videos you were talking about earlier for training and stuff, like in studying, can you get those before I actually become a client, or do I have to be a client to get onto those videos and learning?
Good question. So Brett's asking about Wealth Dynamics University. So with that is a client-only portal. We designed that for our clients. We do have a 2-week free trial. So if you're interested in that, if you go to membership.jerryfetta.com, you can get a 2-week free trial to that program. And that'll give you 2 weeks access. I would also recommend grabbing a copy of my book, my newest book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. And again, this is one I just wrote. This will kind of go through everything that we talked about tonight in book format. It's a little bit more simple and broken down. So you could do both of those, either or. And eventually I'd say become a client for sure. And that way you've got full access to the university and you can really dive into all the training there. And I think we've got a couple more things here, maybe on Facebook before we log out. No, I think that's it, guys. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, for watching. Again, if this helped you, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Tonight was all about habits, all about behavior. It's great to have, all of the inside information we provide to you on financial products and strategies. But at the end of the day, we can't go to the gym for you. We can't do your diet for you. And we can't make sure that you're counting your calories and doing all the stuff you should be doing there for you. You've got to do those. If you can bring that to the table, we can bring the strategy and the tactics to the table. When we combine those, those are definitely going to help. We actually have one question here from Vinod here. He says, can he become a client from India? Vinod, you can get access to Wealth Dynamics University from India. Our other products, unfortunately, are US only. Maybe someday we'll have them in India, but you can definitely do Wealth Dynamics University. So if you go to membership.jerryfetta.com, let me go and punch that in the comments so that you've got that there. Membership.jerryfetta.com, and you can get the 2-week free trial to Wealth Dynamics University. And from there, if you like that program, you can subscribe to that and get access to all of our training. But again, to wrap things up, guys, the idea behind this is you got to bring the behavior to the table, and you got to do it with consistency. And if you do, then we're able to help you with strategies, right? But the debt buyout, the sacred account, the tax planning, the private lending deals, all the stuff we do, none of that can help someone if they're not behaving and having the right habits built with their finances first. So guys, make sure you share this. If you do not have a copy of my book, again, go to jerryfetta.com/B2F. That's the letter B, the number 2, the letter F. You can get a copy of my new book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. Thank you again all for watching. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you all next time.